and go back to an average house and have an average night and an average everything. That's why we don't sit on a chair like every other company. Does that make sense? We actually stand because you're forced to pay more attention, because if not, you get tired. And by the way, did you know that when you write things down, not type, when you write things down, you're 50% more likely to remember them after 30 days, which is why you'll see people taking notes. And even leaders that are probably listened to this meeting before, you probably haven't, as a matter of fact, because it's kind of new, but you listen to this meeting before, you'll see a lot of people taking notes because it helps them learn how to run it later. And so you'll see a lot of people taking notes for that reason. That's why we stand. This is a little bit weird. The morning that you're going through is we practice for 30 minutes the sales pitch, because we want to try to, the goal here on the first 30 minutes of the day is we smack everybody in the back of the head. We wouldn't do that, but if we smacked Craig in the back of the head, the pitch would come out with the exact same words that Carollo's and the exact same words as Taylor, because that's how you got to be good at. Look, sales is something you can learn. It's a skill. And there's actually proven data that like the people that sell the most are the ones that talk the least. And so they actually get really good at getting the customer to talk. And the only way you do that is if you know your script. Because if you're always trying to remember your script, then you're not really listening. Does that make sense? So it's so important that you know it so you can actually engage in a conversation. So anyway, we practice that for the first 30 minutes of the day. Then we have the hype session with Eddie, where he's giving out recognition and shout outs. We also do announcements for the company. By the way, if it's 4th of July tomorrow, can you move real quick, Joseph, a second? Can I get those guys, by the way, West Shore is open tomorrow. They just gave us the news. So if anybody wants to go tomorrow, they actually are going to have people on the call center until 4:30. We're going to do a 9 o'clock day tomorrow. So if you guys are on 4th of July, you're volunteering, can you stay back? If your name is not out there but you want to go, it's volunteer. Stay back here when we go to break so we can give you direction for tomorrow. Is that cool?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know why I was saying that. What was I saying about?
A lot of leaders that we're looking at.
Yeah, okay, we do announcements and shout outs. This is a meeting, so we call this the morning meeting, or whatever you want to call it, and normally it'll help you hopefully understand a little bit more about the business. But this is actually good if you're new, or if you have no idea how to explain the business, or if you have people in your family that or friends that you want to talk about the business, but it doesn't make sense to them because it doesn't really make sense to you yet, which makes sense because we are kind of different. And like my first day, dude, when I was in that circle where people were saying circle up and people had these weird chants, like I was right by the door, and I was like, dude, I'm leaving this place. It's great. But then I thought about like, where am I gonna go? Like I actually don't have any other job, and so then I stayed, and I'm glad I stayed. But I was really weirded out by it, and I didn't understand why. And this helped me. Okay, so this, if you're a note taker, this is the 3 driving factors. 3 driving factors. So like, if somebody was to ask you tomorrow, 4th of July, and you're having, you're with your family, like, dude, so why is this business do that? This is the 3 big things about our business model, about our business that make it so impactful and make so much money to so many people that don't deserve it. Some of them do, but a lot of people just don't. And that's okay, because if people do the work, they still get paid. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, most of the checks Carollos gets, I don't think he deserves it. But he's so good in the field that he earns it. Like, it doesn't matter if he deserves it or not. Sorry, bro. I gotta use you as a good example. So, this is how it helped me, okay? So the first part about our business that I want you to understand is the first driving factor that is a little bit different than other businesses is the business model. Okay, what is our model? Think about it. Does McDonald's have the best hamburger in the world?
No.
But are they the best at hamburger sales?
Yes.
They are. They sell. Like, tell me a company that sells more hamburgers than McDonald's. We all know. No, Chick-fil-A does not.
At the chicken sandwich.
They chicken. That's the whole thing.
But no, I know you got a point. But we all agree, if you had to go find a quality burger, you ain't going to McDonald's, right?
Right.
But do we all agree they have the best model at selling them?
Yes.
They actually, so if you realize, it's actually not so much about the quality of their hamburgers. They are still the #1 hamburger selling company in the world, and they're the richest company at that. Would you agree? So for us, is our business model is different. So one thing I want you to think about is the location, okay? So the location, thank you, Lori. The location of this our investment is about $20,000. Like if you were to buy a McDonald's location, dude, just one of those fryers is $70,000. For us to buy this office is a little bougier because we've been here for a minute. But when we go to open a new office, like we just went to El Paso and put Hector there, it costs us about $20,000 because you only need, for this business, think about what we need. We need a space for the morning to do training with some whiteboards. What else do we need?
Enough room to circle up.
Enough room to circle up, you got it. Enough room to circle up, and 2 cubbies for the lost and found. Really, we just need that. A couple markers, because they go out. But we don't need much. Look, supplies, employees, there's no mystery why a lot of businesses spend a lot of time back to get their initial investment. Think about that. Like if you open a new business like a hair salon or whatever, like you need to spend a lot of money. Who knows somebody that opened a nail salon or a hair salon or some sort of business like that? You got to spend a lot of money just to get it going. Would you agree?
Yeah.
That's normal. Like supplies, things like that. Our business doesn't require much. It's actually about $20,000. And again, it's because of, I'm not going to write it all down, but whiteboards. Look around. There's not a lot of expensive material. We don't need the TV. We barely use it. Like, we could have a regular wall, which we did, instead of a glass wall. It would just be simple. So think about it like that. Our investment is about $20,000. Okay. So let's just do the math on how much revenue we create. I'm going to use Frontier because I know the sales from the back of my head from last night, and it's similar for AT&T and West Shore. For West Shore, it's even more. But let's say Frontier yesterday. How many sales did the team do? The office. 35. Let's say we get paid on. Let's say we only installed 25 because 10 of them reschedule or cancel, right? Because people are working on that. So we get 25 installed sales. We get paid. For each installed sale, the office, our company receives $290. Out of that, you know, the person making the sale gets $150 or $130, depends if you have auto bill pay, I'm not sure. Does that make sense so far? I don't want to lose you, okay? But it's just total revenue, okay? Just for perspective. If it's 25 times 290, how much is that? How many dollars is that in a day? I didn't do the math. Can someone do that for me?
7,250.
How much?
7,250.
Thanks. So that, and by the way, how long did it take us to make that revenue? This is total revenue. This is not money I can take.
2 hours a day.
1 day, right? So let's say 6 days a week times 52 weeks in a year. What is that?
43,500.
Times 52 weeks of the year.
43,500.
No.
2,262,000.
I was way off.
No. You did times 6. Now you gotta do, that happens 52 times in the year. Because it's 52 weeks a year. So how much is it? Do the math for me. I know he said it.
2,262,000.
2 million. 2 million. 2 of the big boys. So that's the yearly revenue. Just so you have an idea, okay? This is a company just like Starbucks. It's just called New Bern. Your mom's not going to be as proud as she is if you owned a Starbucks. The reality is that Starbucks does about 900,000. Starbucks does about 1 million, okay? They actually do a little less, but Starbucks does about 1 million in revenue per year. This company does about 2. We actually do a little bit more, but this company does about 2 to 3. So when you compare models, does that make sense? Just want you to know now our investment is only 20,000. Our investment is not what Starbucks needs. We don't need a drive-through. We don't need all these licenses. We just need a place to circle up, two markers, and a whiteboard.
A couple clipboards.
Literally. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We might have to buy a computer if you don't have one, or an iPad, things like that, but not too much. $20,000. The majority of that is the space. So you see how our model, compared to other models, most models that you open out there, when your friend Deontay wants to open a t-shirt business, when somebody wants to own a Starbucks, most models, and I want you to, don't take my word, go ask, okay? There's 2 types of business models in the business world, okay? It's high investment and low profit. And these work, by the way. This is McDonald's. Does McDonald's work?
Yeah.
It's a high investment to open a McDonald's. You probably need $1 million just to open it up.
Well, how long until you get that million back?
But you probably have to spend the first 5 to 10 years until you get the money back. Does that make sense? Does it? Does that make McDonald's a bad business model? No, it's just you gotta have the money up front. Which is why very few people, very few of your friends own a McDonald's. Agree?
Agreed. No.
Now, I got a bunch of friends that own an office like this. It's just called dick face marketing. Sorry for my French here. And it's not as cool as owning a McDonald's, but the profit thing is that it's low overhead. And by the way, don't call it high investment, it's high overhead. This is a business word if you've never heard of it. I like learning these words. Overhead means like what's overhead, what you pay for expenses, okay? This business is low overhead, high profit. Because our profit, like we make just as much as an average Starbucks. By the way, we have stats that show our average trainee, like you, that gets out of this training, the first year does 1 million in revenue. Like we have guys that just left this office 2 weeks ago. They were like unemployed a year ago, now they finished this training, and they are running a Starbucks type of revenue model. But they don't have a high overhead. So the business model is a great advantage. That's 3 driving factors. I'll go into number 2. But do you understand the business model? We just have low overhead, dude. We have low expenses, which means when you finish the training and you're a manager and you're in charge of what I'm doing, you will make profit on the first month, which is rare for any business. But if you know what I'm talking about, if you're kind of vibing what I'm saying, it actually makes sense. Most businesses, you ask anyone, even people that don't know about business, they'll tell you. People don't make money for years typically.
It takes money to make money.
It takes money to make money, but especially like for you to make the money back, it takes, like if you wanted to buy real estate, you have to put money down. For you to get that money back, it takes, you gotta profit a few months until you get to zero, and then you start the race. Does that make sense? With our model, because Frontier pays us so much, we profit day one. Like Julian started on AT&T, first week he was in the green. Does that make sense? So that's why this is a lower risk, but high profit model. Like, dude, that's crazy. It's a lower risk. It sounds really cool. It is. It's just it's difficult because we do hard things like being in this weather. But it is low risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. The number 2 driving factor is the clients. So again, I'm just trying to say this out loud so that they can help you. Hopefully, help you. Okay. Why do you think Frontier, AT&T work with us? West Shore, dude, West Shore does 1 billion a year. We're trying to do 2 million. West Shore Home Improvement does 1 billion. They do 990 actually, almost billion. Like $990 million worth of toilet sales and windows per year. And they're letting us use their brand for free. Why do you think they're excited to have us? Why do you
We
think?
bring more clients.
So we bring more clients, dude. You gotta like, we just bring more clients. They don't have to put an ad on TV and pay. They only pay. When does West Shore or Frontier pay for the clients we get them?
When we make a sale.
Once we make the sale. So they don't lose any money. See, I mean, like they're getting the money from the customer first because we got them the customer, right?
Instead of paying for advertising.
Instead of paying for advertising, they're getting the money that we got. We got the customer. We get the money. Like you get the sale, and that money goes to them. Then they give us a cut. So it's zero investment for them. Does that make sense? Like if you were Frontier, would you want a team of guys like this that just gets you sales for free?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, for sure you would.
We're going back to number 1.
It's exactly. They clients realize the model and they're like, juice. They're like, hey Julian, you want to go to Corpus Christi? They're like telling him right now, like, you want to go to Corpus Christi? Like, we got customers there. Julian's like, well, I'm trying to train people. It's not that easy. But AT&T's like, cool, well, but you know, we're ready. Literally. Right now, we're about to be on a call with West Shore, finally, because we're doing enough sales to where they're saying, hey, we need you guys to be in 40 markets, in 40 places. They want us in 40. They want us in 5 places next month, in 5 different cities. Because they're like, okay, this works. Because they realize the model. So, you know, the thing is, by the way, the only thing that could hurt the client is if we have a non-compliant person. If you're in the field, dude, West Shore, one thing that they don't tolerate is that you don't tuck your shirt in. As crazy as that sounds to you, you have to tuck your shirt in because that's their policy. You have to tuck your polo in. And if you want to do that, I don't know what to tell you. You know, I was working at Whataburger, dude, 7 years ago. I had to wear the orange polo. Like, I couldn't wear the Taco Bell one. They wouldn't let me. And like, I had to buy my own shoes. You know, when here we tell you got to go get a jacket because you're going to be a manager. We're like, well, yeah, we don't pay for your jacket. Like, I don't know. You go to the military, they take you get the uniform, you get it taken off your first deal. Workplaces have uniforms, and if there's a non-compliant individual in the field, if you're wearing sweatpants or like a dirty t-shirt and you are wearing a badge, you're representing something way bigger than yourself. And so that's non-compliant. Does that make sense? That would hurt the client, right? So, you know, another thing is negative reviews. You know, sometimes our clients get negative reviews when they don't even run a business because we didn't do a good job at preparing them. You know, you think about it like this: how many times you put a positive review after eating a good meal somewhere?
Never.
Normally people highlight the negatives. Would you agree? Yeah. Even us, like we highlight things when we get bothered. Like normally I put good reviews when someone asks me, like, "Hey, dude, you mind leaving me a review?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
We gotta go out their way.
Exactly, but people normally highlight bad stuff. So if you have a bad interaction with a client, you're gonna get a bad review, and Frontier's gonna take the hit, or AT&T's gonna take the hit. But is that actually AT&T's fault? No. It's like you're going online, or somebody's going online. They're judging AT&T based on what you did. Is that fair? No. You see how that could remove us from the contract, and why we have to be nice? Why, if a customer is rude to you, you have to learn to deal with it? Who's been on customer service and they know you got to deal with crazy people? And like, a crazy person can say whatever, but the customer's always right. There's a few times where they're not, but we probably shouldn't be the ones to tell them, right? At the end of the day, it is what it is. So think about what avenue has more stability, you know? But the clients, they look at it like that, is they get, I don't know what to put here, like, they get free customers. They don't have to post an ad. Their only risk is that we do something that's non-compliant, which is why it's so important, dude, that you guys listen to the announcement. Like, if you're like, well, I don't have the pants to wear for this color. Sorry, like, I'm not talking about, like, I understand you might not have the funds right now for a new dress code, but we can't let you, you can't go to work. You have to be compliant with your dress code. When you're out there working, it can't look like you're, like,
You hate your job.
yeah, it can't look like you're, like, homeless. It's got to look like you actually represent a business. Like when you see an Amazon, a FedEx guy, and they're out there, they're doing outdoor stuff. They look like the FedEx guy. Some of them better than others, but they look like the FedEx guy. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So this is the one thing I need you guys to help me protect. That is the only thing that can jeopardize the whole thing, is that you're uncompliant. A customer can say whatever to you. You respond back, you got something to lose. You take your job taken away. Even if you're right. I've seen people say some crazy stuff to Tommy. But he's got something to lose. You tell me this, okay? I'm gonna give you an extreme example. A doctor, okay? Let's say you're in the hospital, and some crazy doctor dealing with you, whatever. Like, you have an argument with the doctor, and because maybe you think the doctor's racist or whatever, and then you just push the doctor or something physically, like you actually get into it with him, and he punches you in the face.
Yeah.
What happens? Who loses their job? Let's say you punch him back and you beat the brakes off of him. Who loses their job?
The doctor.
What if you beat him a lot more than he did? What if he just pushed you and you beat him? Who loses his job? You lose your job forever. Do you lose your job? No. You're the client. You're like, the doctor might be bleeding down there, but you're like, doctor attacked me. But doctor loses their job. Does it matter what happened?
No.
Does it matter who was right or who was wrong?
No.
So you got to realize, like, hey, when you're out there, like, you got something to lose, and it's not just you and your job; it's also our reputation and their reputation. That's what all I can ask you. You know, the client can jeopardize the whole thing. The last thing is people. People are the third driving factor in our business. Is you. And you might think, and I hope you don't, you might think we hire everybody. We don't. We have a team, we have like 15 people back there handling calls. We get 100 applicants a day. There's people out there have no jobs, or they want different things. How many of you guys come from a workplace that you just didn't like the environment? Like you could have just chosen a better place. A lot of people come to work here just because of that. Just because of the environment. I know people that didn't even like to sell anything, and they stayed here just for the environment, and they finished the training just for the environment. They didn't mind doing something during the day that they weren't the best at, because they appreciated the environment more than what you do during the day. Now, if you can be like Carollos or like Power and also be good at some of those things, that's awesome, but it's not required. the people, dude, we disqualify hundreds of people. People that call, we want to work there, we're like, no. Hundreds. By the time you guys are leaders and you're doing interviews in here, we already went through a lot of cutting people. Does that make sense? There's 3 things that make people special, that make you special. 3 things we're looking for in our office, in our business, for you to match this model. Okay. The first thing is work ethic. I can't teach you to have an appetite for your career to be successful. Like, if you work and you're unsupervised and you're being a little lazy, I lose respect for you. I've been there. I've also been lazier when I haven't had a supervisor, but I learned, like, it's my career. No one's gonna want it more than me. And we're not gonna come after you and chase you down to show up to work so we can make you a manager and pay you $100 grand and come after you for that. No one's gonna do that. Yeah, if you want it for yourself, you want it for yourself. Dude, I was listening to Alex Hormozi yesterday again. He said there's, in the world of sales, there's 3 types of sales. There's 3 types of people. There's dogs. Dogs, you have to feed them, and if not, they don't eat. You have to feed them, you have to rub their belly. If not, they don't eat. Eventually, if you stop feeding them, they just die. True? True. So you gotta keep feeding them. You gotta keep like, here dog, here, rub their belly. That's one type. Then you got horses. Horses is you gotta keep whipping them. Like, you whip the horse and it keeps going. Would you agree? Like, how do you get a horse? How do you manage a horse? Even if you never ride a horse before, you gotta hit him with your heel. That's how they keep going. It's like if you don't hit him, horse doesn't go. And in sales, that's the person that they gotta feel threatened to do their job. Like, if we gotta come up to you and tell you, man, you're gonna lose your job unless you do something, that's, again, nobody wants to do that forever. It's so complicated to manage somebody that needs that, okay? And then you have tigers. Tigers are the people that, like, again, a tiger might be full after a meal, after just eating your whole family. But after they eat your whole family, the tiger sees a little bunny walk by, and he hunts it and eats it just for the pleasure of it. Because they're just natural hunters. They're hunting out there. And that's the people we need. Is people that are more in the tiger mindset. People that they just want to sell, or they want to close somebody, or they want to grow just for the progress. Just because it's like they would do it for free. You're just happy you get paid for it, and you just get a thrill out of just a close. And like you made 4 sales, and you just get the 5th one just because it's just there. You smell it. And that's 3 types of people. We can't teach that. If you're a dog and we gotta like make you feel good every time, that's just not, it's gonna be temporary. We can't teach you the work ethic. Like, it's what you do when no one's watching. It's also integrity. It's another word for it, in my opinion. You know, what you do when no one's watching, we're not gonna go after you and chase you. We're gonna see the numbers. We've been here for long enough to know numbers never lie. And so your work ethic depends on you. Who controls that? You control it, right? The other thing is having a student mentality. I was having a conversation earlier with Cappuccino because I gave her.
She just left.
There you go. And I was having a conversation with her. If you don't know her, it's okay. And I was just telling her, like, hey, you got to be a better student. You have to, like, if you're not doing well, that's okay to not do well. We don't want anyone perfect. But if Taylor ain't doing well, what I expect him to do is to have a great student mentality. He knows Carolus did 7 yesterday. Go ask him. Go show up 10 minutes early. Hey, Carolus, I'm going to come 10 minutes early today. Can you tell me how the hell you did 7 times better than me?
You gotta be coachable.
You gotta be coachable. And by the way, you gotta go find that. No one's gonna come up to you like, hey, you wanna be coached today? You gotta go find that. And that's all of our people that finished our training have that in common. They're out there. Julian's an owner. He's a fantastic owner. Great owner. If you look across the country, there's 800 owners. He's in the top 20. And you know what he does is I realize he goes after people that have been in the business less time than him, but he notices they're really good at like sending road trips, and so he'll go after, hey dude, like you did with that owner. Hey dude, like how you do that? How you do that? I'm like, dang, it's so good because I can't force him to be good at something he doesn't want to be good at. He's just a great student. Okay, does that make sense? And the last thing about people is their attitude. And attitude, dude, attitude is just, it's like a muscle. Like, how do you build a muscle in the gym? You put negative things on it, right? You put weight, and it hurts, right? So for your attitude to grow, it's got to be hurt a little bit. Like if you were to be trained, like who has kids? Anybody have kids in here? If you were to train your child, even if you don't have kids, you have a brain, you can use it real quick. Like if you had to train your child to be a good person in this world and to be trained for all the challenges in this world,
Put that pressure on.
would you put him through like an easy life?
Nope.
Would you put him through some tough stuff? Would you agree you would put him through some tough stuff? So look, our attitude, that's why I personally love the field, and I love when there's tough weather, and I love when there's less chances to be successful, because all it's gonna do is challenge your attitude. I mean, if you quit when it's a bad day, then you're just a quitter. If you wanna quit, I would challenge you, just quit when it's your best day. Quit when you do 7. And then come the next day, say, this is not for me. I'll be like, yes sir. Don't quit when it's a bad day. That's what every loser does.
Too easy.
It's too easy. I want to quit too when I'm tired. Just, get a nap or something. I don't know. Drink some water. Don't quit when it's a bad day, because you'll always regret. You will always regret, dude. You will always regret when you quit when it's bad. We look for people that have a great attitude. That like I can put Carollos today even in more heat, and I can put him in McAllen and tell him, hey man, you're gonna do West Shore. He gets there, he's knocking doors for 4 hours, he gets nothing, and by the time he gets a lead, he calls in the call center, and the call center's like, yeah, no, we're not in McAllen at all. You gotta drive back. He has to drive back. And he would figure out a way to put a positive song and figure out a way to make that, that's a shitty thing. He would figure out a way to make it a positive thing, because he has a great attitude. It's like, you wanna build this attitude like it's unshakable, and this is a skill. If you're a person that's not consistent, your enthusiasm maybe goes up and down, you gotta work on your attitude being a consistent thing, and that's a muscle. You can train that. You gotta train yourself. And how do you train? Again, how would you train a guy to be in the ocean, to be a sailor? Would you train him on a smooth sea, or would you train him on a lot of waves?
A lot of ways.
So go find waves. If you're not actually trying to find challenges out there, when you have challenges, instead of like receiving them negatively, you should be like, dang, that's the wave. I gotta survive the wave. When you get kicked out, when whatever, when a customer's rude, what? That's just waves to people. Like, you gotta figure out the wave, and you gotta surf the wave and come out like, you ever see those memes of those guys that they're like all cool, they're chill, whatever, then they just fall down the stairs, and at the end of it they're like, you 2 push-ups, like they fell on purpose. You seen those videos? Like somebody will fall, like all awkward, and then they like just do 2 push-ups, like I just fell on purpose. They're just getting on the wave, and they're just figuring out how to just be cool with what's not cool. Does that make sense? So that's our third factor, and if we don't have the people, none of that would work. But the people need a high work ethic, a great student mentality, again, somebody looking after coaching, not just they know it all. And then people that have a great attitude, man. People that would give you some negative stuff, and you're like, yeah, give me more. Because they know the waves are good for you to train in the ocean. So, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how to get the best outcome out of a situation.
Bro, you're new and you're awesome. What's your name?
Just
Thanks for speaking up, man. It helps people that are new understand that you can speak up, and I encourage you to do it more, because that's awesome. Thanks for doing that. Taking great notes. Does anyone have any questions? Has anybody got a question from a friend or a family that they don't know how to explain the business that I can respond in front of everyone? Yes, sir.
how do you tell somebody?
Somehow I knew you would have a question.
How do you tell somebody like what it is without saying door to door? Because people hear door to door and be like, like they don't even want to hear no more.
Well, it's not door to door. If you ask me, like, are you hiring people for door to door? I would say no. I would actually tell you, if you want to go door to door, there's a company upstairs, they do called Solar Bros, and they just only go door to door. That's their only position.
Okay, so can you give me like something like a summary? Because people simple minded. So give me like a simple.
First of all, people simple-minded, and you want a simple approach. That's
Yeah,
fine.
perfect.
2 things I would do. We have a YouTube channel, and there's a video that you can like have somebody watch it instead of you explaining it. That way, you can get an expert explaining it versus you. That helps a lot. You know what I mean? Like, instead of me telling you like something about real estate, I can give you a real estate video. It's probably better. That makes it easy on me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's number 1. Number 2, I wouldn't try to explain it to people. I don't really need them to understand.
Somebody told me, won't nobody believe you until it's in their face.
Yeah. So you
you
just
showed
got,
them-
you know
showed
what's the
them
best way
pictures
to,
of the LD video
and
list.
it is more about you and your personality and the way you want to handle it. The way I handle that is like, you know what, I'm just going to shut up and go to work, and then talk to me in a year. And then they're going to either see it or not. And if I'm a loser, they won't see anything, and if I did it well, then they see that it worked. So I would just be like, you know what, give me a year. See if you, that's what. Like, give him a video. Can somebody help Justin? Who's the upline for
Tony.
Tony? So Crow's gonna get you a couple videos, and he's a master at explaining this. So you can explain it professionally. Because yes, when you explain this in door to door, it sucks. We just actually didn't hire you to go door to door. If we would want that from you, we'd probably fire you the first day you do bad.
Well, I have a question for
Yes.
Justin. What made you take the job if you thought it was door?
No, I didn't.
You have
I
a
took
question
the-
for Justin? Maybe you guys can talk on the break. We're gonna go on break real quick. So it's 12.